That was so bad.
Hi there, I'm Aaliyah.
And I'm Melissa. And today we're going to talk about
John Dalton.
So who is John Dalton?
Well, John Dalton is one of the pioneers of atomic structure who picked up research on atoms after 2 millennia.
You see, John Dalton was born in September 1766 and died July 27, 1844.
Dalton's career started off by teaching in Cumberland, England. Not Cumberland, Cumberland. But what's so important about John Dalton anyway? Is he even relevant?
Well, he actually is. John Dalton developed the modern version of the atomic theory, which is the one that we use in science today. Now, let's take a deeper look into Dalton's research.
It all began with Democritus. Democritus first suggested the existence of the atom, but it took almost 2 millennia before the atom was placed on a solid foothold as a fundamental chemical object by John Dalton.
Now, before getting into the actual atomic theory, we must cover where this curiosity started, and that is with gases. He began experimenting on gases, which led to his discovery that the mixture of a gas's total pressure was equal to the sum of the partial pressures that each individual gas put out, while occupying the same amount of space. This became known as Dalton's law of partial pressures in 1803.
This law applies to ideal gases which have no volume rather than real gases which have a volume due to being made up of molecules and atoms that take up space. This is only applied to ideal gases because of the elasticity and low particle volume of molecules in ideal gases. He based his theory of particle pressures on the idea that only like atoms in a mixture of gases repel one another, whereas unlike atoms appear to react indifferently toward each other.
This principle of Dalton's law can be demonstrated using a simple experiment, which involves a glass bottle and a large bowl of water. When the bottle is submerged under water, the water it contains is displaced, but the bottle isn't empty. It's filled with an invisible gas called hydrogen instead. The amount of pressure exerted by the hydrogen can be identified using a chart that lists the pressures of water vapors at different temperatures, which is also thanks to Dalton's discoveries.
So how can this be applied in the real world?
Well, this knowledge has many useful practical applications today. For instance, scuba divers use Dalton's principles to gauge how pressure levels at different depths of the ocean will affect the air and nitrogen in their tanks.
With this research, he was able to propose the atomic theory.
Dalton's fascination with gases gradually led him to formally assert that every form of matter, including solid, liquid, or gas, was also made up of small individual particles. In an article he wrote for the Manchester Literary and Philosophical Society in 1803, he created the first chart of atomic weights. He readdressed the subject of atomic weight in his book, A New System of Chemical Philosophy, published in 1808. In this book, Dalton introduced his belief that atoms of different elements could be distinguished based on their varying atomic weights. In so doing, he became the first scientist to explain the behavior of atoms in terms of the measurement of weight. He also uncovered the fact that atoms can't be created or destroyed.
Eventually, Dalton developed the atomic theory, which states that 1. All matter is made of atoms and are indivisible and indestructible. 2nd, all atoms of a given element are identical in mass and properties. 3rd, compounds are formed by a combination of 2 or more different kinds of atoms. 4th, a chemical reaction is a rearrangement of atoms.
And now, time for fun and fast facts! Did you know that John Dalton was elected into the Fellowship of the Royal Society of London and also the Royal Society of Edinburgh?
No way! Well, he was also awarded an honorary degree from the University of Oxford and elected as one of only 8 foreign associates of the French Academy of Sciences, taking the place vacated by the death of Sir Humphrey Davy.
Well, in Manchester, he was elected president of the Literary and Philosophical Society in 1817, continuing in that office for the rest of his life. The first paper he delivered before the society was on colorblindness, and is still sometimes called Daltonism.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Well, to give you guys a rundown of what you should have learned today, John Dalton was born September 1766 and died July 27, 1844. The next thing you should have learned is Dalton's law of partial pressures, which sparked his interest of atoms. And lastly is Dalton's atomic theory, which is the basis of the modern theory that we use today.
Thanks for watching!
watching!